It's Mr. Koriko, who is the acting chairman of the State Nuclear Regulatory Inspectorate of Ukraine. He joined Ukraine Nuclear Regulatory Authority in June 2021, and he's an acting chairman from the December 15, 2021. His nuclear career started in 1993, and he worked at different positions at Ukraine Nuclear Operating Company, National Nuclear Energy Generating Company Energoatom, and he was also working in the facilities. It means Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant as well as the South Ukraine nuclear power plant. Then he continued as director of the Department for Nuclear Energy and Industry for the Ministry of Energy and Coal Industry, continued as Director General for the State Specialized Enterprise, Central Enterprise for Red Waste Management. So before joining the Nuclear Regulatory Authority of Ukraine, Mr. Koriko worked as Deputy Director General at as Technical Director of that State Special Organization. Mr. Koriko, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Marta, for introduction. Thank you, colleagues, for the. So let me please start my presentation from the slide number 4. Currently, Ukraine is one of the 10 largest countries in the world in terms of nuclear energy use, and we operate 15 water-cooled, water-moderated reactors, 440 and 1,000 megawatt, at 4 nuclear power plants. Nuclear power produces up to 60% in total electricity production. Next, please. Current status is Khmelnytsky, Rivne, and South Ukrainian nuclear power plants are under Ukrainian control, in operation currently. Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant site and Energodar city are occupied by Russian military force and Rosatom. Chernobyl nuclear power plant and red waste management facilities in exclusion zone are back under Ukrainian control after occupation in February, March 2022. Recovery of regulatory control and facilities functioning is ongoing. Next, please. As a country that has already paid a very high price for the Chernobyl disaster, Ukraine has been applying significant permanent efforts for decades to ensure the highest standards of nuclear and radiation safety and security. However, the conditions of the high safety standards of peaceful atom use have changed dramatically as a result of Russian Federation full-scale military aggression against Ukraine started 24th of February 2022. National laws and regulations have been developed without taking into account shelling conditions or occupation of nuclear installations. We shall admit that there is no experience in the world of safe operation of nuclear installations in the context of large-scale war. And second, as well as there is no experience of nuclear regulation in the context of large-scale war and the post-war period. Next, please. The military aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine includes deliberate military actions towards the Ukrainian nuclear installations, including occupation, nuclear facilities, their sites and controlled territories. Murder, capture, imprison, torture of security guards of nuclear power plants and nuclear power plant staff. Aggressive pressure and threats to the nuclear power plant operational staff. Occupation of the nuclear power plant's satellite towns, threats and pressure on the families members of nuclear power plant staff, which is still ongoing right now in Energodar city near Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Next, please. Destruction by weapons or disabling of nuclear installations, auxiliary buildings, safety-related equipment, and radiation monitoring system. Damage of electric power transmission lines and communication channels. Unauthorized presence at Ukrainian nuclear facilities of countries' aggressors' representatives from Russian nuclear authorities and entities such as Rostechnadzor and Rosatom. Looting and damage of safety-related equipment, technical means, hardware, vehicles, personal protective equipment, etc. Broken logistical chains for staff rotation and supply of equipment, spares, materials, medicals, etc. necessary for operation and maintenance of nuclear installations. Next, please. Increasing the emergency occurrence in the situation when the adequate emergency response is impossible due to the damaged infrastructure and limitation of access of the emergency staff. Place heavy military equipment and weapons on nuclear sites and turn over nuclear sites into military base. Increased threats and risks for sealed radiation sources being damaged, orphaned, or lost on the territories out of Ukrainian control and received significant damages. Next, please. Now a couple of words about how affected on nuclear regulator activities, how war is affected. Staff of SNRIU appeared partly in evacuation, partly in the army, partly in occupied territories, partly working distantly with the connection to internet. Unstable communication channels, blackout, unstable water heat supply in offices and at homes. Staff working in a stressful situation. Next, please. Cancelled the scheduled inspections, limited just for unplanned inspection. Impossible to carry out the state supervision in occupied facilities and territories. Licensing limited just for the territories under control of Ukraine. Significant resources needed for activization of informational and emergency activity, international cooperation, coordination of other authorities in the situation of SNRIU's human resource limitation due to the mentioned reasons. Next, please. From the very beginning of the war, Ukrainian nuclear regulator has activated its communication and informational efforts. Activation of Information and Emergency Center as a national competent authority and point of contact in the terms of Early Notification Convention and bilateral agreement, and as a national warning point in the terms of the Early Notification and Assistance Conventions. We conduct continuous analysis of the situation on the nuclear and radiation safety status to prepare information messages for the public and media. Perform forecast calculations of potential consequences using European Decision Support System JRODOS. promptly informs the IAEA through unified system for incident and emergency information exchange on activities during an emergency, about events occurring at nuclear facilities of Ukraine as a result of Russian invasion and hostilities. Maintain constant phone communication with the IAEA response officers. Next, please. We continue interaction with IAEA, HERCA, VENRA, and SREC, regulatory authorities of European countries and other organizations and partners. A number of resolutions and statements of extraordinary meetings were distributed on its official websites supporting Ukraine. Next, please. In April 2022, Ukraine requested IAEA to provide assistance under its statutory functions and the Convention of Assistance and in case of national accident or radiological emergency through the IAEA RANET mechanism in order to maintain the safety and security of nuclear facilities and activities in Ukraine. Requested items include protective clothing, protective equipment, radiation monitoring and control devices, computers, and other very needed items. The list is open, and we have an opportunity to add new points in case of necessity. As for today, 12 countries have already published their offers of assistance: United States of America, Sweden, Germany, Hungary, Romania, Australia, France, Switzerland, Israel, Japan, Canada, Spain. We have already received full assistance from some countries in accordance with their proposals. From Romania, Spain, France, United States of America, Australia, Hungary, Sweden, Germany. The process is ongoing. Next, please. Special measures of regulatory activity to Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is occupied since 4th of March till now. Transition from direct on-site inspections to regulatory supervision through information analysis. Duties of the Inspectorate at Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant temporarily have been assigned to headquarters in Kyiv office. Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant units 1 and 2 operational license were limited to the cold shutdown state due to placement by Russia heavy military vehicles and weapons on the turbine hall, unit number 1 and 2. Dry spent fuel storage facility license was limited due to the unauthorized configuration change of the facility design. We understand that it's unauthorized modification of nuclear installation. IAEA permanent mission was engaged and started their work on the 1st of September 2022 at Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. And the latest regulatory authority decision has been made to forbid operation of the plant at power output levels. The restriction has been issued to fix the reactors in a shutdown mode, we mean subcritical state. As we get uncompliance with safety principles and requirements due to Russian occupation and owner impossibility to fulfill safety. Next, please. For Chernobyl nuclear power plant and Chernobyl exclusion zone, SNRIU concluded inability of the licensees in exclusion zone in circumstances beyond their control to fully comply with regulations on nuclear and radiation safety, physical protection, and license condition, so that SNRIU suspended a number of licenses of facilities and activities in exclusion zone until overcome of consequences of military occupation. With support of Norwegian Regulatory Authority, DSA, special regulations were established for regulation of facilities in exclusion zone affected by the occupation to support restoring activities and ensure safety and security control and regulatory control. The first one is approach for regulation of facilities located in the Chernobyl. And second one is procedure for restoring the safety level of nuclear and radiation facilities in exclusion zone affected by the hostilities. Also important that several IAEA missions to Chernobyl nuclear power plant and exclusion zone have been engaged by Ukraine and took place straight after the deoccupation. Next, please. Yes. Now let me please say a few words about 7 safety and security indispensable pillars identified by Director General IAEA Rafael Mariano Grossi on 2nd of March 2022, as well as internationally recognized safety principles and requirements. It have been compromised due to Russian military occupation and seizure of nuclear installations. So there is pillars, and all pillars are compromised. Next, please. SNRIU provided analysis on the current status, compliance and compliance with IAEA fundamental safety principles and requirements in connection with the military aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine. That's shown on the slide. Next, please. The occupation of Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant made impossible to comply with IAEA-specific safety requirements on nuclear power plants safety requirements. The results of compliance and shown on the slide. The one and only way to return it back to safe and legal condition is deoccupation, demilitarization, and return it under the control of owner and the Ukrainian authorities. Next, please. Conclusions. Military seizure, shelling, and occupation of nuclear facilities by Russia are the grave violation of international nuclear law, conventions, rules, and regulations, and United Nations Charter. According to IAEA Joint Convention resolutions, any armed attack on and threat against nuclear facilities devoted to peaceful purposes constitutes a violation of the principles of United Nations Charter, international law, and the statute of the agency. Russia ignores IAEA Board of Governors resolution. There are 3 ones in 2022. And according to the IAEA Statute, point B, Article 19, Russia should be suspended from the privileges and rights of IAEA membership. The last slide, please. Currently, for near future, the major challenge for Ukraine is to eliminate and overcome the consequences of full-scale Russian invasion and military actions towards the Ukrainian nuclear installations, so that the further wide and comprehensive cooperation with the international partners on safety and security of nuclear installations in Ukraine is of utmost importance. The SNRIU coordinates the technical assistance and cooperation of competent Ukrainian authorities and entities with IAEA, European Commission, United Nations, OSCE, G7, NSREC, VENRA, INRA, etc., as well as wideness bilateral cooperation. Thank you for your attention.